morning, everyone. Welcome to our sections on business communications, which is designated for final year students at the University of Foreign Language Studies. And today's sections is about negotiations. In the previous sections, you was introduced to the concepts of interpersonal skills, and one of the most important elements of interpersonal skill is negotiation. And today, we will have a close look and more insight into negotiations. I think that all of you are familiar with the term negotiations, all right? So now I'd like to challenge you. Can you give us a simple definitions of negotiation? Or you can write out a one-sentence definitions of negotiations. Now, let's ask Ms. Cheese. What do you think about negotiations? Can you share with us?
To give a simple definition of negotiation, I think it is a process of discussing for a conclusion to be made by two or more people. Or we can say negotiation is the process of exchanging information, ideas, so that some of the conflicts can be resolved.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, right? So you see that there are a lot of working definitions of negotiations. In a simple way, negotiations is the process of getting what you want from the others. Or negotiation can be a discussion between people so that we can reach an agreement on an issues. On an academic form, I mean that the business perspectives, Robbins defined negotiation as a process in which two or more parties exchange goods or service and try to agree on the exchange rates for them. Yes, thank you. Right? So we see that they have a different kind of negotiation. And the next question is, who can be negotiators? The truth is that we negotiate every day, and everyone in their everyday life is a negotiator. On a personal level, we see that children negotiate with their parents over the things they want. For example, they want to go to bed early. They want to have a Coke instead of mineral water. Spouses negotiate with each others over the things that they should do or they should buy. For example, today I will do the cooking and you will do the washing up afterwards, or you will clean the floor and I will vacuum the floor. And you see that friends also negotiate with each other over things. For example, you may ask your friend to do your homework, and then you will buy him or her a glass of milk tea, for example. On a social level, we see that the buyer negotiates with the sellers over the price of the products. The customer may negotiate with the suppliers about deliveries, about the qualities of the products. The subordinates may negotiate with their boss about the salary, about the job responsibility, for example. And even students can negotiate with teachers about the deadline of their assignment, about the workload, etc. So the next question is, why do we need to negotiate? Negotiate actually is a means of resolving differences between people so that we all can reach a mutually beneficial solutions. So we can negotiate to convince people to take your side of an issue. We can negotiate to agree on how to share or how divide limited resources. We can also negotiate to resolve problems or disputes. And we can also use negotiation to sell a product or a service. And there are lots more reasons that people can use negotiation to win their wish, right? Now I have a little challenge for you. Recall from your past experience what you have successfully negotiated or what you have unsuccessfully negotiated, and what factors help enable your success, okay? Now, Ms. Cheese, can you share with us one examples of your successful negotiations from your past experience?
From my very humble experience, I get I've got a lot of situations where I have to negotiate with my children. And you know, the kids are often very lazy and they do not want to do homework. I remember one day I asked my son to do his homework. Please do your homework before you can go out with friends. He says, Mom, I want to go out with friends. I got a meeting with them. I say, how come you have to do your homework before you always say, how about going to the book gardens and do the homework there with my friends so I can do my homework while I am having some milk tea. So I say that is a nice negotiation. I have to compromise so he could go out with friends and he could do the homework at the same time. So that is one example.
Very good example.
Another example I got from school when I was young. I remember when I was kids, and I went to school and I always want to get 10 marks, you know what kids want. They want to get 10 marks so that when they go home, they got some very good compliments from parents. The teacher, on that particular day, I didn't do very well. So the teacher gave me 9. I said, come on, I'm not going to get 9. If I get 9, I would rather have another challenge. She said, how about 9.5? I say, that's fine. So I got 9.5 after my efforts of negotiating with the teacher. So that would be the two experiences I have.
All right, that's good. You have, a lot of good examples about successful negotiation. Now, can you share with us what are the factors that help you to be successful in your negotiations?
I think it's important we understand the needs of the people we are communicating with. In any context of negotiation, it is important we understand the purpose and the goal of our partner, what they really want to get out of the discussions. So I remember one experience when I was in a shop, and they say that was a very special week for customers, and they say they are going to have a 10% off for everything. But then I say, oh, I'm the regular customer. It's not just a normal customer. You should have a 10% discount for any customer, not regular customer. How about another 10%? So, and if I get the order more than 2 million, for example, they would give me another 10% off. So I ended up having 20% off from the order I got of 2 million Vietnam dong. So that was a nice surprise. I think the understanding and also the relationship and also the place and also the time that would have a lot of effect on negotiation.
Right, thank you. Thanks a lot. You already mentioned a lot of factors which may affect, the success of a negotiation. But I put in a very brief way that the factors affecting negotiation, we have your place, time, attitude, and subjective factor. Play, for example, you always feel more confident when you are conducting the negotiation in a place that is familiar to you. You want to conduct the negotiation in your office rather than the opponent's office. You want to conduct the negotiation in Vietnam, in your country, rather than in foreign countries, right? And you want to have enough time to prepare for the negotiation. Enough time to implement the negotiation. And also attitude is quite important. When the both parties involved, they need to be positive and they need to be willing to involve in the negotiation.
Especially when we want to get more than what we pay.
Exactly.
So we need to be very persuasive and we need to be convincing. Exactly.
All right. And beside that, we also have some subjective factors, like you mentioned, that in the relationship between the seller and the buyers, right? And also about the genders and other issues. Okay. Now, we move to another concepts. In the previous section, you already learned about the 4 P's in the marketing mix. So Ms. Cheese, can you tell us what are the 4 P's in the marketing mix?
I think my students remember it very well in the marketing mix. The 4 P would mean we need to provide the right products at the right price, available in the right place, and deliver in different ways of promotion. So the 4 P's would stand for products, price, place, and promotion.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And the same things in negotiation, we also have 4Ps. 4Ps in this case stand for purpose, products,
Purpose,
process, and people.
Yeah.
Purpose, the negotiator need to understand, that what they want to achieve. For example, they want to get to know each other, they want to explore the other interests, for example, they want to close the deals, okay? Or the second P, that is product. What is the product of the negotiation? It can be the contract we decide. It can be an MOU, is mean memorandum of understanding. It can be a letter of intent, for example, right? The next P, that is the process. The process in this case mention the ways to help you to achieve, the outcome of the negotiation. And the last P, which is very important, that is people. People in this case refer to key decision makers, okay? That the people who can have the final says on the deal or on the negotiation.
And that is very important when we talk about negotiation at one of the interpersonal skills.
Yes, exactly.
So negotiation would involve people.
Yes,
because
exactly.
that is part of negotiation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. G. And next one we will mention is the process of negotiations. Actually, there are 4 stages in the process of negotiation. The first one, that is preparation. The second one is exchange of information. The next one, that is bargaining. And the final one, that is closing and commitment. Now, let's have a look at the first stage in the process of negotiation, that is preparation. So what do we have to do in the stage of preparations? First of all, we need to identify the main goals of negotiation. You need to ask yourself the questions. What do you really know about your main goal? What do you really know about your opponent's main goal? And from that, you need to do some calculations in terms of economics and financial calculation. For example, you need to see what is the profit if you sign the contract, what is the loss if you fail to sign the contract, how much money you need to prepare to implement the negotiation. And after that, you need to prepare different kind of documents. It can be technical documents, it can be accounting document, it can be auditing document, it can be design document, etc. Right? And then you will set the agenda for the negotiation. When should we start the negotiation? How long does it take? What do we need to prepare for that, for example? And you need to gather and analyze information about your opponents. So please bear in mind that the more information you know about your opponents, the more likely you are to be successful in your negotiations. So you need to ask yourself, are we ready? Do we really have enough information or just see what we want to see and make wrong perceptions? The second stage in the process of negotiation, that is exchange of information. So exchange of information, in this case, you need to exchange with your opponents. What do you want? What's your position? What do you want and what do they want? And then you discuss with each other to, agree on the final agendas of negotiation. And you also need to exchange the draft of documents. That is very important step. And not only that, we need to conduct a lot of practical arrangement. For example, the meeting room for the negotiation. You need to conduct some kind of informal meeting with your opponents about, for example, can be dinner, can be lunch, etc. And then, that prior the negotiations. The third stage in the process of negotiation, that is bargaining. For bargaining, you need to ask what you want and modify if you need. You can make some modification, right, if you think that is necessary. And you need to be open, very open, all right? Don't concede without exchanging information. And then you need to decide on the areas of possible flexibility. You always, have some area of flexibility in your mind so that that some certain cases you can make some compromises or some conceding. You also need to use strategies, tactics, counter tactics, etc. And also make counter offers. For counter offer, the original offerer can have 3 options. They can accept the offer, they can reject the offers, or they can, change and replace the offers and continue on with the negotiation. And next one, that is know when to walk away. You know that is the time you cannot sit there to continue the negotiation, and then you have, the time to come to an end with that negotiation. And when we already finish with the first 3 stages in the process of negotiation, we will come to the last step, that is closures and commitment. All right. So you need to agree on the stage the agreement. What you already agree on, what terms, what condition you agree on that, and then you need to document the negotiation. You prepare negotiation results and summary. Try to close the remaining gaps and reach a tentative agreement. So all these steps, it means that you already have, that you agree on some terms and some conditions of the contract, of the agreement. And next one is very important. Once we already got the agreement, we need to implement the agreement, all right? And when you implement the agreement, remember that you need to monitor, you need to check the implementation of the contract, of the agreements. So again, I say that the process of negotiation have 4 stages: preparation, exchange of information, bargaining, yes, closure and commitment. And remember that the first 2 stages are very important and take a lot of time. You can see 80% of your work is for preparation and exchange of information, right? But remember that sometimes you say exchange, you can exchange the information and can bargain at the same time. So the order of these steps can be flexible. It's not all the way fixed. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So next one, we will move to another concept, that is times of negotiation. So in principle, there are 2 basic kinds of negotiation. One is distributive and one is integrative. So distributive negotiation operate under a zero-sum games. What does it mean? That is, one person gains equal the other person loss. Okay, so this distributive negotiation is often referred to as the fixed price strategies. And normally, the negotiation between the buyer and the sellers is a typical example of distributive negotiation, because you see that in this case, the seller's goals is to negotiate as higher price as possible, and the buyer goal is to negotiate as low a price as possible. Both of them want to win in this kind of negotiation, and that's what we call distributive negotiations. How about integrative negotiation? Integrative negotiation is the contrary to the above strategy, because in integrative negotiation, the party cooperate to achieve maximum benefit by integrating their interests. And you see that in integrative negotiation, both parties involved in the negotiation, they try to look at the problem together. They try to find out a mutually beneficial resolution for both the parties involved. All right, and you see that with this kind of negotiation strategies, the negotiator views the others as a friend, as a coordinator or collaborator. So that is a very common strategy, which is often used among the business partners. Okay. So when talking about, that to illustrate the distributive and integrative strategies, I would like to tell you a very traditional stories of orange. Okay, let's look at the situation here. We have 2 sisters are quarreling over an orange, and both sisters want to have the orange for themselves. So what are you going to do in this situation?
I want to have it all.
Okay, yes, you see that. That is the most common answer suggested by everyone. That is the very easy. Just split the orange in half, and each of them will get half of the orange. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
But do you think that is there any other solution for the situation? Is there any other option? The answer is yes. Okay, the mom in this case is very smart. She come to ask the 2 sisters, what are you going to do with the orange, with this orange? And one sister say that, Mom, I want to make an orange cake. And the other say, Mom, I want to make orange juice. Okay? And then the mom say, Grace, I will make both of you happy. Both of you will get what you want. And this is the way she gets. All right? So the girl, she gave, the fruit flesh to the girl who want to make the orange juice. Yeah, orange juice. And then she gave the peel of the orange to the girl who want to make orange cake. All right? So in this case, both sisters are quite happy. They get what they want. Okay? So the question is, some of you may ask, when should we use distributive negotiation and when should we use integrative distribution? And you see that considering the varying approaches of these two strategies, distributive negotiation is best used when you think that you have strong advantage points and you are in good position to make the bargain. On the contrary, if you don't have the strong the position, but you still want to win in the bargain, so in that case you can use distributive strategies, right? And another determinant that you can use for choosing the right strategy, that is to see whether the resource in this case is limited or unlimited. If the resource is unlimited, I'm sure that you want to have a bigger piece of the pie, right? And in that case, that you have to use distributive strategies, okay? And I think that it's also advisable to look at the long-term scenarios and see whether you want a friendly or a competitive relation. For example, you think, okay, it's only a one deal, and I don't think that in the future I will need the help from the negotiator. So let's go with distributive negotiation, right? But for example, you want to maintain the relationship with the negotiator, right? So in that case, it is much better for you to use or to adopt integrated negotiation strategies. Right? So when talking about this, I would like to mention, just have a quick look on the concept of positions and interests. So when talking about negotiation, you need to have a little bit understanding of the positions and interests. So positions mean what they say they want, and interests mean why they want it. For example, in the story of the orange, you see that at the beginning, both girls, in this case we have both sisters insist that I want the orange. They just mention their positions. They do mention their interests. But when one girl says, I need the orange to make the orange cake, and the other girl say, I need orange to make orange juice, right? So in that case, they already mentioned their interest.
And
so
position.
yes. If we should go on, with the position, where do we come from? Where do we go from here? Okay, so in that case, we should focus for interest. I give you another example. For example, you have a girlfriend and you fall in love with her for about 2 or 3 years. So you want to marry her, okay? So when you say that, I want to marry you, okay? That's you just state your position. You just tell her what you want, all right? But when you say that I want to marry you so that I can spend my whole life with you, or I want to marry you because I want you to take care of my children, I want you to be with me every day, for example.
So that interest.
Yes, that is interest,
yeah.
exactly, thank you, okay? And you say, it is, so normally we say that it is interest-based rather than position-based negotiation, so that both we have a kind of win-win situation. And I think that you know that we all know that in life, things rarely black and white. And the same is true for, here for negotiation, right? So that in any real-world negotiations, we can have both elements of distributive and integrated strategy. So it's up to your personal choice. It's up to you to make the right decision, which strategy you prefer, okay? Now let's talk about the outcomes of negotiation, the outcome of negotiation. Actually, there are 4 outcomes of the negotiation. The first one we call win-lose. It means that after the negotiation, one walk out of the negotiation feeling that their need cannot be met, all right? And the other feel happy with the negotiation. That is a win-lose. And the second outcome of negotiation, we say lose and lose. It means that both parties feel worse off, after the negotiation. And win-win outcomes, it means that both parties or both negotiators feel better off after the negotiations, all right? And we have one more on this. You see that the win-lose, that is, the win-lose outcomes is the results of distributed negotiation strategies. And win-wins is the outcomes of integrated negotiation strategies. And we have another outcomes, one more outcomes for negotiation we call stalemate. For stalemate, it means that both of them on their position, both negotiators do not want to make compromises. And that's why they stand right at the beginning. They make no progress or no movement in the process of negotiation. You see here, one person say, I'm not creating jobs until I cease buying. And the other say, I'm not buying until I've got a secure job. So where do you go from this kind of negotiation? That is stalemate, okay? So I have a little quiz for you to check whether you understand the outcomes of the negotiations or not. Ms. Cheese, can you help me with this? So I will read the questions and please help me to answer the questions.
So now I'm a student, so
Okay.
difficult for me.
Thank you. All right, now the first questions. In this type of outcomes, egos come to play towards the negotiating process. Both sides dig into their positions and are unwilling to compromise with each other. In the end, both parties end up losing in the deal. So in your opinion, what is the outcomes of this kind of negotiations?
Well, I can see both parties are unwilling to compromise. So I think it would be a lose-lose situation. Is that correct, teacher?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Excellent student.
Thank
Now
you.
we move to the second questions. It's a one side takes all battles, with one side getting all their needs satisfied, and the other side getting nothing. While the side that wins may be very happy about the outcomes, the losing side has a high levels of resentment over the deal because they did not have any of their needs met. So Ms. Cheese, what is the outcomes of this situation in your opinion?
In this situation, it really reminds me of the song by ABBA, "The winner take it all, the loser stand small." Beside the victory that was destiny. So I don't know whether it is a win-lose situation. Is that correct?
Very smart student.
Thank you.
And you have a good sense of humor also.
Okay. Certainly, I remember the song. I like it.
Yeah, I know that you have a beautiful voice. Huh? Okay, the next question. Question number 3. In this time of outcomes, neither side wins or lose. And after a long negotiating sessions, both sides are at the exact same place that they started off at. This is a result of not being able to deal with interests and only positions. So what is the outcomes of this situation, Ms. G?
I remember a moment ago you explained this. Both sides come to the end, and it seemed that they are still at the beginning, and there is no progress at all in the agreement that they have come up. So it might be a stalemate.
Yes,
is that correct?
Exactly. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
And the last questions. In this type of outcome, both sides walk away with their interests and need being met. Both sides leave the negotiating table satisfied because they came out of the negotiation with more than they had started with. So what is the outcomes in this situation?
I think it is easy. It is a win-win situation because you say both parties walk away feeling satisfied and the need being met. So it must be a win-win situation.
Exactly. I'm very happy to have a smart student like you.
Thank you. Thank you, teacher.
Okay. So next, we move to another concepts about cross-cultural negotiations. All right. Because when talking about negotiation, it means that we are dealing with different people, and different people is not only about their, that characteristic, about their personality trait, but it's also about culture. All right. So there are some factors we need to be aware in this case. So there are some factors: negotiation goals and basic concept, protocol, communications, risk-taking propensity, uncertainty avoidance. The concept about view of type, decision-making system, form of agreement, power system, and personal style. I think we already have a handout which is quite details about cross-cultural negotiation in our learning management system. All right, so please go there and try to download and read and do the exercise in this. But now I want you to watch a videos on cross-cultural negotiation. So let's have a look. About different style of negotiating or people from different countries. All right. What about Australian people? What about Canadian peoples? What about Dutch people? What about American people? All right. So try to take note. Okay, so Miss Cheese, we already watched a short videos about cross-cultural negotiation. So can you tell us, what do you think about this video? What do you think about the way people in different countries, have towards negotiations?
I have taken the role of a student and I have to take notes. You have given me a great challenge. But I can feel that people from different countries, they have different ways of negotiating. From the video, I could see that the English people try to avoid confrontation, and they are very modest because they are very reserved, so they are very modest negotiator. However, the French people tend to expect the logic debate, so they would be they would be more argumentative, whereas the Chinese people would not expect an immediate answers. Whereas the Dutch people, they often have a long debates because they are based on a lot of facts and figures before the debates. The Swedish people use the wide range of discussion, while the Spanish and Italian tend to be very, very, what we say, careful with their negotiation. The Australian people, on the other hand, they are very cautious. So what I like about this is that it gives you an overview of the different approaches to negotiation, but the ultimate goal of negotiation is to be successful and to come to a conclusion, to reach an agreement, so that all party will get away with them needs being met and feeling very satisfied.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very detailed and also very comprehensive. I mean, the comments on the video. So I mean, the thing I want you to be aware is that when you conduct any kind of negotiation, make sure that you know where the people come from. All right, and then I mean, that's for different people from different countries, we can have a kind of appropriate or suitable strategies to deal with them. All right, and in order to help your negotiations to be successful, I think that we need to also have some kind of appropriate language. So here I point out some useful language for negotiation. And this is already, I mean, that put up on our learning management system. That is a homework for you to do. So I mean, I want you to read this handout and try, I mean, that to understand and try to use the useful language for negotiation. Okay. And I want to touch upon a little bit, I mean, negotiation and marketing and business. So how about negotiations in sales? Why do people need to negotiate in sales? Ms. Chi, can you help me answer the questions?
I think we have already touched upon the 4 P's: product, price, place, and promotion. And in sales, that is part of marketing. People deal with the price of things, and they try to value and they try to position the products and the services that they would like to buy. So very often people are very price conscious and they are very quality conscious too. So in sales, people need to negotiate. For example, they negotiate the price of the product. They would like to get more for less. And they would like to pay less for more.
Exactly. I mean,
they pay less for more and they want to get more for less. So if I pay 5,000 Vietnam dong for a lower bread, I know that 5,000 is just a little amount of money. But I would like to get the value of 5,000 in the lower bread I get. So it is not just something I can eat, it is something I feel safe when I eat. It is something that I feel secured when I consume this. So it is very necessary. Even I can negotiate to get the product at a very reasonable price and even at a very low price. For example, I went to the shop and I asked for a beautiful handbag and they say 200,000 or 200,000.
200,000 dong.
200,000 dong, 200,000. But they say 200,000. I say, oh, that is so expensive. I would pay 120. But they say, let's split the difference, and then we got to 150,000 Vietnam dong. So by doing that, I think negotiation is important.
Thank you. All right. So I mean that the key point here is that mean that as a salesperson, you are seeking the mutually beneficial relationship. All right. So both of us want to have a kind of win-win relations or win-win outcome. Right. This I skip part. Okay. So, you know that why do we need negotiation skill? The bottom line is you can be able to change customer attitude toward your products or services, or we want to win more customer and improve profits for your organization. That is the bottom line.
I think in marketing we often talk about how we can expand the market.
Right.
So not just how we get the customer, but how we can keep our customers.
Right. It's very hard. It's very hard to keep our customer,
to retain our customer. By doing this, we can increase sales.
Yes.
At the same time, we can expand the market, so we get more market share. Better market share means better price of our product and services.
Right. Okay.
So better income for our employees, and the employee can negotiate. Okay, I would like to do more work because I want to earn more money.
Okay.
So I think negotiation is a very important interpersonal skills, and that our students are learning business communication. This is one very important skill that they need to develop.
Okay.
But I think your session is very interesting.
Thank you. So I think with that, we would like to, that our sections come to an end. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.